6 p.m. by our studio clock. Viewers, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news on Equinoxe television in the English language. My name is Anna Dilaleke. I'm just right away. The released fund of the Bambalang community of the Northwest region has finally regained his village. Fon Shumitan Kevin was kidnapped by armed men and spent several months in captivity. How was he welcomed by the Bambalang people of the Ngoketunja division of the Northwest region? Our correspondent in the Northwest, Boostella, is on standby. And over 200 families might be rendered homeless anytime from now in Yasai locality here in the economic capital, Douala. Their houses might be demolished. That is, over 200 houses might be demolished anytime soonest. Viewers, those are our major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for always according us your time for the news in the English language. We begin right away with this human interest story. The mayor from Bangui has pleaded with some business persons, operators to reopen their stores. Rather, we begin first in Douala. Over 200 families are about to be rendered homeless following a demolition exercise which is supposed to take place anytime from now. The inhabitants of Yasa say they have been living on the land for over 17 years now. Mala Glory tells us more.
In frustration and disappointment, the inhabitants of Dubai City in Yasa, Douala 3 municipality carried out a protest march. With placards in their hands, they denounced plans to demolish their houses. The angry locals complained that they have been given a quick notice to leave their over 17 years of investment.
La CUD nous a donné une sommation de déguerpissement.
The council has given us a quick notice claiming that the land belongs to them while presenting us a land title which they claim was acquired from a certain Tassi group. We carried out our investigation and discovered it's fake. They say this land of about 141 hectares was bought from the Bakoko people with land titles and over 100 houses constructed. Today, the council presents another land title, which to them is fake. And we ask ourselves, how can one with a land title indicating Bali come to demolish houses in Banga Bakoko? That was when we called the attention of the council on the kind of land title they are using to chase us out of our land. The people say they petitioned the administration since 2015 on the issue to no avail. According to the council, the land is earmarked for the construction of an urban bus station. The inhabitants thus urge the administrative authorities to intervene on this matter, which is about to send them to the streets.
And now we were telling you a while ago in the Northwest region, the mayor from Bangui has pleaded with some business persons to reopen their shops. The traders went furious with the local authorities for sealing shops of some of their colleagues who were respected or who respected the ghost towns in Bangui. Mayor Dangsa Kennedy Wao, with the angry traders, promised that those whose shops were sealed won't pay any penalties. Smart Jikan Gabriel has the details.
For expecting to close their stores on Ghost Town Day in Bangui, the divisional officer, Lawrence Ngide, will seal some stores. In unity with their other colleagues whose stores were sealed, other traders in the market will stop opening their stores, thus making Bangui more calm. In a gathering to convince the other traders to open their stores, the mayor makes a promise that no dime will be collected from those whose stores were sealed. Since we are still on sensitization, nobody will pay a dime when the seals will be removed from your stores. I have been hearing rumors that we are requesting 50,000 to 55,000 francs CFA. Those are just distractions.
And also some man make some side comments but may we not capitalize on top of those side comments.
The traders also put to the mayor some of their preoccupations. We are in a very delicate area. I'm having so much as debts to pay, and I have to go and borrow from the credit union. Why is he coming with new laws? Mr. Mayor, you are a mature child. I'm pleading that they should open credit union and other places.
For the for a population, we are grateful.
We have a worry because at the beginning we opened, but since you are asking us to open again, for how long are we going to wait?
That's a question, that's a problem.
To prove to the doubting business operators of the Mbengwi market about his seriousness for them to open the stores, the mayor sends this message.
As soon as
you open, I will make sure that I follow up to see to it that their seals are removed from the other stores. I'm promising you all of this. Mbengwi, found under Momo division, remains one of the most tense divisions in the Northwest region since the Anglophone crisis started.
And now we stay in the Northwest region, where the released fawn of the Bambalang community has finally regained his village. Fawn Kevin Shumitang was kidnapped by armed men and spent several months in captivity. He finally regained his village today, and how was he welcomed by the Bambalang people? Our Northwest regional correspondent, Boo Stella, was in Bambalang. She now tells us more.
President of the Northwest Regional Assembly, Von Yakum Kevin, steps foot at the premises of the Northwest Regional Assembly for the first time since December 2021, when he was kidnapped at his palace in Bambalang. His absence has been a bitter pill for members of the Northwest Regional Assembly in particular, and the nation Cameroon in general.
So the absence of the Vice President, President House of Chiefs for the last 18 months, means that the team has not been complete. The work that we had to do, we have managed to get some of it done. There's so much more that could have been done with the presence of the President House of Chiefs. So his return for us is very important. It speaks to many things. For one, we believe in the future of our region. For two, we believe that the work that we are doing in the region really speaks to the needs of the people.
We had waited and prayed for this day, and God finally has given it to us. And we actually thank God that Mbe has come out healthy.
We are overwhelmed with joy, and we think that with this, everything will be on order now. And we think that his dream for the region will come to pass now.
This is a historic moment in the life of this country, in the life of the region, and in the life of the division of which I am the senator.
The fawn spent 18 months in separatist captivity. Upon his release, he tells the media peace is the better option.
The message I can give to Northwesterners is a message of peace. Peace, peace, and peace. For I believe, let my release be the turning point for peace to come back to the region.
At the Regional Assembly, to welcome the Vice President was Northwest Governor Adolphe Lillafrique, who sees the release of the fawn as a turning point for a long-lasting peace.
And now we talk something else. The family of journalist Samuel Wasisi is still unaware of the whereabouts of his remains 3 years after he died in military custody. His lawyer says his family has not been compensated by the state of Cameroon despite efforts made in that direction. For me, Armstrong Sander completes the story for us.
And when we got a copy of that document, it said on it, severe sepsis.
Navy Captain Cyril Serge Atomfa Ngemo, who doubles as spokesperson of the Cameroonian Army, was speaking on July 8, 2020 on Equinoxe Television's flagship program, La Vérité en Face.
Someone can die
That's an infection.
Responding to questions on the controversial death of journalist Samuel Wazizi, picked up from Buea by the military and whisked to Yaoundé, the captain said Wazizi died in the hospital of severe sepsis and his lifeless body will be placed at the disposal of the family.
Sepsis, severe sepsis. In English, it is severe sepsis.
3 years down the line, Wazizi's family has not set eyes on his lifeless body. Wazizi's lawyer, Barrister Ewole Lyonga, says the state of Cameroon has failed in its promises.
Yeah, the upper are not access to the cops. I've written to the Ministry of Defense. Till now, we have not got any response. So the cops of Wazizi are not handed to the family for closure. Instead of, we don't know the decision of the independent inquiry that the head of state published, the independent inquiry. Yes. Up to now, we have not seen the report.
He says efforts made by the family and the defense team have all proven fruitless because of the lack of will on the part of the government.
The state doesn't want to, the state doesn't want to do anything,
Yeah. Whereas when the Atompa was on our...
will communicate their next plan of action in the days ahead. According to the military, Wazizi became sick and was rushed to the hospital where he died on August 17, 2029, 10 days after he was taken into custody in Buea.
3 years after, Wazizi's family is still to get in possession of his mortal remains. We now talk politics. Elections. Cameroon is accused of violating its own laws. Honorable Jean-Michel Nicho is calling on the leaders of the election organizing body, Elecam, to right their wrongs by cancelling the appointment of the Douala 3 branch head, which he says violates the electoral law of the country. Babila Jonathan is our man on that beat.
Member of Parliament Honorable Jean-Michel Ninche decries what he qualifies as violation of Section 17 of the Electoral Code of Cameroon. It spells out incompatibilities between the duties of the chairperson, vice chairperson and members of the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon (ELECAM) and those of members of a political party or support group of a political party, list of candidates or a candidate, among others. Honorable Nincho says the appointment of Solange Fengwa to the post of head of the Douala 3 Elections Cameroon branch violates the law on grounds that her husband is a militant of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement (CPDM) political party and mayor of Douala 5.
Il n'est pas normal, il n'est pas sain.
Politician Jean-Robert Wafo supports the point that it is not proper because she would likely be part of the support group of her husband's party.
Président de la section RDPC au niveau de Douala 5e.
To him, the relationship with her husband will influence her duties.
Il n'est nulle part mentionné que le fait d'être le conjoint, n'est-ce pas, d'un homme politique.
CPDM militant Basil Etoka dismisses that school of thought by saying the electoral law does not state that the partisan stand of a spouse disqualifies his wife for a position of responsibility in elections Cameroon.
We now talk health with Immaculate Fogwe. Leprosy victims living in the Rowan Charbel Center in Mokolo in the far north region of Cameroon are expressing worries over their poor condition or living conditions. They say access to food and water has become a major problem while celebrating 50 years of the existence of the Rowan Charbel Leprosy Center. They pleaded with the authorities concerned to support them with their basic necessities.
Many of these men and women saw their fingers and limbs deformed after being infected with leprosy. Hansen's disease, also known as leprosy, is an infection caused by slow-growing bacteria which affects the nerves, skin, and eyes. Aware of how contagious leprosy was back then, President Amadou Ahidjo in 1972 decided to construct this leprosy center in Ziling, a locality in Mokolo, far north region. Lepers were allowed to settle here with their families. Celebrating 50 years of existence of the leprosy center, The victims are grateful to God for sparing their lives. A mass is celebrated by the Bishop of Mokolo. We are thanking God through this Eucharistic prayer. We are celebrating 50 years of existence. We need to be grateful to God for His endless mercies. While celebrating 50 years of existence, the lepers equally decry their poor living conditions. 50 years ago, when late President Amadou Ahidjo gave us the center, we were provided varieties of food. A cow was slaughtered every month. Some years later, the aid we used to receive were not forthcoming. We are suffering. Access to potable water is also a major problem. We are pleading on the Cameroonian government to provide support. These lepers here are treated freely thanks to the collaboration of the Cameroonian government and the government of Malta. Given the fact that many of them lost their feet and fingers due to the leprosy, getting a job has been very difficult, causing them to solely depend on the government.
And now back to the Northwest region, we take this obituary. The man whom many have attributed the plan of Bamenda to, Honorable Daniel Atia, who died some time back, has finally been laid to rest. He was described as a development catalyst, an example to be emulated. Details with Wu Stella. She tells us more from Bamenda.
Multitudes turned out in Bamenda to lay Honorable Daniel Anyenjang Atia to his final rest. In 1961, the late Honorable Daniel Anyenjang Atia was the first nominated mayor of Bamenda.
We believe that he instilled a lot of values in us: hard work, discipline, honesty, determination, principled. Our father was a very principled man. If he stood for the truth, it didn't matter who came, he would push his way forward in order that his words was taken seriously.
During the funeral, he was described as the brain behind the creation of the Bamenda Main Market and other developmental projects in the now Bamenda city.
He was the first mayor, and he was a member of the governing council, the first one in Africa. And so it gave him an opportunity to travel to many countries in the Western world. And each time he went somewhere, he brought something back home to try to improve on the life of the citizens in Bamenda and to help to him design the city of Bamenda the way you see it today. The Bamenda Main Market was our father's land that he gave to the government, and he constructed that land, handed that project to late Nanga and to Mr. Kilo, two of his friends who constructed the Bamenda market.
Featuring at the funeral were politicians, religious and traditional authorities who came to bid farewell to the man they describe as a development-oriented politician whose footprints are still visible within the city of Bamenda and Cameroon in general.
And now we take you out of our national frontiers. 9 people have been confirmed dead in violent clashes between security forces and supporters of Senegal opposition leader Ousmane Sonko following a court verdict on Thursday sentencing him to 2 years in prison. Defense lawyers see the verdict as a strategic move to kick Sonko. And let's now have more with Innocent Aze.
Sentencing of Senegal's opposition leader Ousmane Sonko for 2 years sparked bloody clashes between riot police and supporters of the political figure on Thursday. At least 9 people have been killed. Enormous destruction was caused. Cars and buses were set alight in Dakar, and disturbances recorded in other areas, including Ziguinchor, where Sonko has been mayor since 2022. In a statement this Friday, Senegal's Interior Minister disclosed that they have noted with regret violence that has led to the destruction of public and private property and the death of 9 people in Dakar and Ziguinchor. Police have remained stationed around his home in Dakar as unrest floods in the capital and elsewhere after the verdict. Senegal's Justice Minister said the opposition leader could now be taken to prison at any moment. The court verdict may disqualify Ousmane Sonko, President Macky Sall's fiercest opponent, from contesting in the country's presidential election in 2024. Reacting to this, one of the opposition leader's lawyers revealed that with the 2 years jail sentence, Sonko cannot be a candidate. The 48-year-old opposition leader did not attend the hearing over an alleged sexual assault where he was accused of raping a then 20-year-old woman who worked in a massage parlor in 2021 and also making death threats against her. Sonko denied the allegations, saying they were politically geared. The court cleared Sonko of rape but found him guilty of a separate offense described in the penal code as immoral behavior towards individuals younger than 21.
21 minutes past 6 p.m. Brazil clock. That does it for this edition of the news on Equinoxe Television in the English language. Viewers, thank you so much for always being with us. Don't go away as usual. Our programs continue. The news in the French language is at 8 p.m. and Equinoxe World comes up in about 35 minutes. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television and have a blessed weekend. Bye-bye for now.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
De lundi à vendredi sur Equinoxe Télévision.
Votre avis sur ce qui s'est passé à Douala, c'est 72 dernières heures.
Je ne sais pas si avant elle, il y avait des vols de bébés, mais après elle, je me suis dit, j'ai porté cette croix-là. Et il faudrait que aucune maman ne ressente plus cette douleur.
On continue à détourner des bébés dans les formations hospitalières, surtout publiques.
Ce n'est pas parce que quelqu'un a dit, c'est moi qui dis la vérité, que je vais croire.
Elle a vécu sa grossesse. Elle n'a pas proclamé cette grossesse. Parce qu'on a l'impression de nous faire croire qu'elle a proclamé une grossesse qui n'existe